When Iran launches a missile barrage, the headlines usually focus on how many missiles were intercepted. But the real battle may be something far less visible. Every interception consumes a missile. Every defensive launch reduces the interceptor stockpile protecting Israeli cities and military bases. So the real question in the current Iran-Israel missile war is not simply whether defenses can stop incoming missiles tonight. The real question is whether those defenses can keep stopping them tomorrow and the day after if the barrages continue. Because in modern missile warfare, victory may belong to the side that runs out of missiles last. What a missile barrage actually looks like. When people imagine missile attacks, they usually picture a single launch followed by a single interception. The reality is very different. Iran's doctrine is based on saturation. That means launching many missiles in a short period of time. Instead of one target, one missile, a barrage might involve dozens of ballistic missiles combined with drones and cruise missiles. The goal is not just destruction. The goal is pressure. Each incoming missile forces defenders to make a decision within seconds. Do they launch an interceptor or risk letting the missile through? That decision matters because each interception reduces the defensive stockpile. In other words, every Iranian missile forces Israel to spend a missile of its own. How Israel's interceptor shield actually works: Israel does not rely on a single missile defense system. It operates a layered structure designed to intercept threats at different ranges. At the top layer there is the Arrow system. It targets long-range ballistic missiles while they are still high in the atmosphere. Below that layer there is David's sling. It handles medium-range threats. Closer to cities and bases there is Iron Dome, which intercepts rockets and short-range projectiles. On top of these systems, the United States has deployed Patriot batteries, and sometimes they add units to reinforce the defensive network. When a missile is detected, radar systems track its trajectory within seconds. Command systems calculate where it will land. If the system determines that the missile is heading toward a populated area or military base, an interceptor is launched. The interception often happens dozens of kilometers above the ground. To the public, it looks like a flash in the sky. But behind that flash is a very expensive exchange. The hidden cost of interception: each interceptor missile is not just a defensive tool, it is also a resource. Some interceptors cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Others cost several million. More importantly, they are not unlimited. Missile defense batteries store a finite number of interceptors. When those launch tubes empty, they must be reloaded. That process takes time, and during intense barrages, those reload windows may not exist. So the real pressure comes from repeated waves of missiles. One barrage might not overwhelm the system, but 5 or 6 waves in a single night could start to strain interceptor inventories. Iran's strategy of repeated waves. Iran understands this dynamic. Its missile strategy does not rely on a single decisive strike. Instead, it focuses on persistence. Launch missiles. Force interceptors to respond. Then launch again. Even if most missiles are intercepted, the defensive side still spends resources. Over time, the offensive side hopes to create exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, but logistical exhaustion. Missile warfare becomes a contest of inventories. How many missiles can one side launch? How many interceptors can the other side afford to fire? This is the part of the war that rarely appears in headlines. Why interceptor stockpiles matter more than interception rates. Many reports focus on interception success rates. You will often hear numbers like 90% or 95%, but those numbers do not tell the whole story. Even a very successful system must still fire interceptors. If 100 missiles are launched and 90 are intercepted, that still means 90 interceptors were used. If another 100 missiles arrive tomorrow, another 90 interceptors may be required. This is why military planners look beyond percentages. They look at stockpiles. The real question is not how effective the system is in a single night. The real question is how long the system can maintain that effectiveness if attacks continue for weeks. The logistics behind interceptor resupply interceptors are not produced overnight. They require complex manufacturing, guidance electronics, propulsion systems, precision engineering. Even the most advanced military industries produce them in limited numbers. That means resupply depends on production lines and existing inventories. During a prolonged missile campaign, shipments of interceptors become as important as the defense systems themselves. Transport aircraft may carry new interceptor stocks from manufacturing facilities to regional bases. Ground crews must reload launch systems quickly, and commanders must decide where to allocate limited defensive resources. This turns missile defense into a logistical operation. This strategic balance, this is why the Iran-Israel missile conflict is often described as a stockpile war. Iran attempts to apply pressure through repeated barrages. Israel and its allies attempt to maintain defensive endurance through interceptor supplies. Neither side expects a single missile exchange to decide the outcome. Instead, the contest unfolds over time. Every launch, every interception, every resupply shipment, gradually shaping the balance between offense and defense. Why the war may ultimately be decided by production. Modern wars are increasingly influenced by industrial capacity. How many missiles can be built? How many interceptors can be manufactured? How quickly damaged systems can be repaired? Missile warfare exposes this reality very clearly. A missile launched today might have been produced months or even years earlier. An interceptor fired tonight might represent a complex supply chain stretching across multiple factories. When barrages continue, the war slowly shifts from the battlefield to the production line. Factories begin to matter as much as launchers. What happens if interceptors begin to run low? If interceptor inventories begin to decline, commanders face difficult choices. Not every incoming missile may be intercepted. Defense systems may prioritize targets that threaten major population centers or critical military bases. Other targets may receive less protection. This does not mean defenses collapse, but it changes the way interception decisions are made. The battle becomes more selective, and the pressure on resupply increases. So when people watch missile interceptions lighting up the night sky, it is easy to think the battle is decided in those few seconds. But the real contest is happening behind the scenes, in warehouses storing interceptor missiles, in factories producing new defensive systems, and in command centers calculating how long those defenses can continue operating. Because the Iran-Israel missile war is not just a battle of technology. It is a battle of endurance, a battle of stockpiles, and in the end, the side that sustains its missile inventory the longest may shape the outcome of the entire conflict.